Oh my God. Doesn't I remember. Okay. So yes, as I was saying today, hi Maddie, that what we are going to practice doing is to, reserve our judgment, and reserve our, and sort of explore our inner biases. Like, so for example, you may say, oh, I hate the color X, whatever it is. I can't stand that color. It's really ugly to me. It's yucky. I would never use it, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to challenge you to say, okay, it's just a color. And understand that a lot of what we're doing when we, kind of have these preconceptions is that we are going toward a societal bias. Like, for example, let me just take the color pink, which, it's provocative because everybody is going to have it. I haven't met anybody yet who does not have a strong feeling about the color pink. It's so interesting to me. And it's just a color, or brown, for example, because that also is, and what, again, what is brown? Because brown is actually a neutral. You mix it with opposites on the color wheel and you get brown. I mean, it's, a wonderful, incredibly versatile color and very important. And yet, we kind of have an immediate sort of visceral reaction, and it's a societal reaction. It's it's sort of our biological kind of yuck factor that it is not based on, it's based on sort of something outside of the damn color. It doesn't. So what I'm inviting you to do today as we work with all these different things is to kind of, refrain from kind of an immediate demonization of any particular color, shape, whatever. Because actually, when you do that, you are keeping yourselves from, really interesting investigations and explorations. Why not embrace all of it as it's all possible? There isn't a bad, yucky color. It's just our preconceptions labeling it that, So that's one thing. And I also want to say that the other thing that comes to mind when we work abstractly is, and also as people look at abstract, is that immediately they want to see something in it. Right. And I'm sure that we all do that to some extent. But I would also, and this is a thing that takes a while to kind of get over. And again, it's kind of like training your mind to try to not name what you see. Because it keeps everything open. Like, there isn't anything, that is going to all of a sudden create a narrative. I mean, it's not to say that can't happen, but at this initial stage when we're just playing, rather than naming a shape because it looks like something, keep it open. Try not to name it. The reason for that is it keeps your possibilities open. So it's comforting. Our judge brain and our left brain, the one that's kind of logical, wants to name. That's just kind of how we're built, and in the society, especially where everything is on the left brain, we're very, much tuned into to words and language and naming. There's comfort in that. Oh gosh, I know what that is. It's a horse in a field. But then what happens is the possibilities of that non-representational artwork can, get smaller. And certainly as we do our own work, we don't want to, kind of keep ourselves in a box. We want to expand out and allow the possibilities out there to happen. What are your thoughts about that? Do you agree, disagree? Janice?
Well, I just want to share, a year or so ago, I heard a neuroscientist on, I think it was public radio.
Yeah.
And he was investigating what's like the earliest cognitive impulse of the brain, and its categorization.
Yeah.
It is the most primal of, it's like, it is this deeply seated thing that everything we look at has to be categorized. And it's like the youngest thing. It's like, it's what keep evolution. It's kind of like what kept people safe, because you had to know what, you had to be able to recognize something, understand what it was, and react appropriately. So I think I'm listening to, and that's really, I think we don't appreciate the degree to which we're wired that way for survival.
Yeah.
I think that's fascinating.
And that you can understand why, as the world became less tribal, like initially we only saw people that looked like us. We only saw everything. And then as that started to change, we have to retrain our mind about everything, like to look at someone that doesn't look like you and not be afraid.
Yes, it's
You
very,
know,
very.
Janice, that's fascinating because
Isn't that fascinating?
kids who are on the spectrum, one of the things they love to do is categorize.
Yes.
It's very soothing to them.
Right.
And, they line things up and they choose things that match. It's fascinating.
Yes. No, I mean, that made so much sense to me. And,
Yes.
the challenges as the world's became more global, all these, whatever.
No, it's so interesting. And we do. We have this, look at clouds in the sky and we see shapes.
Right.
It is, we're very much attuned to doing that. Exactly.
And Andrea, what you just described is a basic Buddhist premise that all phenomena in the world is actually empty of meaning until the brain categorizes it.
Wow.
And that one of the goals in meditation, I shouldn't say goal, one of the mind training is to allow the brain, the thinking brain, to relax enough to let go of meaning. Because meaning is always ascribed by the ego brain thinking, which we have to protect ourselves in the world.
So Ellen, I'm a practicing Buddhist as well. I suspect you are.
Yeah.
And yes, I was thinking about this as we were speaking, that part of this practice that we're doing here is letting go of the analytical brain and just looking and seeing without labeling.
Yeah.
Which is part of the practice of Vajrayana Buddhism.
Wow.
It's the foundation of all the Buddhists. Yeah. So
But can't a painting be about something?
Oh, absolutely. But we're actually.
It has to be. There has to be. I mean, it's just not any. I don't know. Yeah.
Right. No, you're absolutely, and it can, and this is just saying while you're doing this activity, Betty, and you missed all my, I hope, did you get a chance to watch the video from yesterday?
I watched an hour and a half of the video, and I did the first two exercises, and I watched the abstraction. So I'm a day late and many dollars short.
No, you're fine. But yeah, so but this just follows to say that we're very much about process in this class,
right?
And so the longer that we can kind of hold back from the naming and hold back and allow ourselves to dive into territory that feels very new and hopefully exciting, that is really a key to this kind of a process-oriented class. Yeah. Okay. So yes, and we'll practice, as we look at our work, and of course we're looking at our work. This is not about looking to see good or bad. Again, of course, we would not do that. You've heard me rant about that. No, but what we're doing is when we look at our work, and we will be doing a bit of that today. It is about learning from each other, which I think that's why you're taking a class. Otherwise you'd just be one-on-one or look from a book or do something on YouTube. It's the seeing how other minds are and other bodies are doing, the similar kind of activity, and what can you learn from all the different possibilities? So it's like you're learning ×9 in this class by seeing, all the different ways that people are approaching. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, and then I did also want to share the screen and look a little bit at Padlet, just so we can see where we are with this way of looking at the work. And I will be asking you to upload things. Again, it's really just to see all the different possibilities here, and also just to get comfortable with what this looks like. So as you can see, I reorganized. I did delete some of the early pieces people put up. Thank you for doing that. Just that I didn't have enough room because this thing, I kept going. I was running out of room on the side, so I just backed up. And so you are uploading your work under your own name. And if anybody has major problems with that, we can chat, after class today about that. But this is what it looks like. And the advantage of looking at it. See, this is another one reason I love the Zoom is that we can see this work in a much closer fashion than we might see it in any other way. We can really look closely at these things, and also, just see the range. So yesterday, as you can see, Betty, we did do basically these kind of two versions of kind of getting into work, and without not going to scrutinize. I just think it's really, really helpful to see what everybody did here, and we really want to not put a judgment, whether you like it or not. It's that's sort of not germane. It's really just like, look what happened. That was interesting. We all kind of followed the same directives. We yesterday played with the transparencies of these paints, and that's one of the, what it does is it shows you the versatility of acrylic. I think people, sometimes forget that it's not just, a stand-in for oil paint, and that it can look a lot like watercolor, behave like watercolor, and do these wonderful things when you, kind of lay transparent color over transparent color. You create a third color without it blending and mixing, the way watercolor would do, because it's watercolor when it dries is resoluble, if that's a word, but acrylic, of course, is not. So it is possible to build these layers, excitingly to do that, and have that as part of one of the possibilities that we bring into play here. The other thing that we did is we played with some application of really thick paint, which is what we did when we took just a tube of the heavy body, squirted it on a piece of paper, and then imprinted it like a monoprinting process onto our otherwise transparently painted pieces. So, we were learning a little bit about contrast yesterday, and we were learning, a little bit about the spattering and the various different kinds of mark making that's possible with and without a paintbrush, because a paintbrush, as we said yesterday, only gets you so far. And it's also, so loaded with our own, fears and preconceptions. Oh my God, I've got a paintbrush in my hand. Now I got to do something that is worthy, which, we just want to get that all out of the way. That's, that's poppycock. We don't need that, so we are, kind of enjoying our taking up space on this, on this large format, which could even be larger if we decided to group some of these things together. So we also saw how, we have, 1, 2, or 3 when we group them, or even 4 in a big shape. So that's, something that we will, keep coming back to and seeing if that's a possibility. So great. I'm glad that it looks like everybody accomplished getting this up on the Padlet. Bravo. And I'm really happy to see that, because that means that we can just go for it. All right, so I'm going to stop the share and talk about, getting ready for these next pieces. And don't worry, we're going to come back to the stuff that we did yesterday, because we will be doing this like a loop, coming back. But what we're going to do now is prepare a couple pieces of paper for the next step. And like we did yesterday, there's going to be a little bit of a drawing period. But I wanted today and this morning to start out by talking with you about the gesso. If we didn't really talk about it yesterday, I mentioned it a little bit about, the ability to use gesso as your white, because actually white acrylic paint is not particularly opaque. I mean, it is to some extent, but as we saw yesterday on, when we tried it, it leaves something to be desired in terms of being really opaque. So what I'm going to do today is talk to you about gesso and why and when you might want to use it. So let me just do this for a second. Gesso is an acrylic product these days. It used to be, something that people who were painting, from Renaissance time, as soon as people were, using some sort of a substrate like wood or, linen and then canvas, people needed to prepare the surface so that the oil paint they were using would not rot the organic material that they were painting on. So back in the day, they used rabbit skin glue, right, mixed with chalk and white pigment. So they had a white surface, or I guess, sometimes they did, sometimes they decided to tone that surface. But at any rate, what it did was it protected the substrate. That's a fancy word for surface. And particularly important when you use something that is like oil paint. Not important if you're using something like acrylic. Sometimes you do want to use it, but sometimes you may not. The thing is that what gesso is these days is acrylic. Gesso is acrylic paint, but just with a lot more calcium carbonate added to it, which is chalk. Yeah. It's matting agent. It's what's in your matte acrylic paints. It's what's in matte medium. It's a chalk. Chalk, and chalk is what also makes things kind of crack. So you have to be careful not to add too much chalk. And this is why when you go to use house paint and you decide to play with that and pour a big gob of it onto a substrate without painting it out a little bit, you end up the next day or two after it's dried with cracks all over it, because it's just not meant to be applied that way, but the cracks are there because there's so much chalk in it, it just doesn't hold together as well. But nonetheless, it's still acrylic. House paint is latex, which is a type of plastic. It's all based on plastics. So, yeah. Janice, did you have a question? You want to unmute?
So what is the practical application of the gesso?
Okay, coming now.
Okay.
Coming. So practically, what gesso does is it seals your surface. So looking at the beautiful pieces, I think that there's a lot of beauty in, if you're using good paper yesterday, and a lot of us were using this nice BFK or Stonehenge or Arches or whatever, it is absorbent. And so if you looked at these, very sort of watery applications of the paint we did yesterday, it sinks into the surface of the paper and looks very velvety. There isn't the plastic, look of acrylic. It's much less these days because acrylic paint is getting better and better. But, it is sort of something that you may be used to seeing when you apply acrylic super thickly. But not true when the paper yesterday, right? Yes, everybody has, noticed that. So another reason why I love, doing this class with paper and not on canvas or prepared canvas paper, which I really hate because it doesn't allow us to experience the paint in another way. So, but you may want to use acrylic because it seals your surface and it will save you money if you're trying to just cover the surface. So let me show you what I'm talking about with that, okay? So I'm just using the back of the piece of paper that I used yesterday. Just ignore all this other stuff here. So I have some gesso in my container here, and this is what I would suggest you do with your gesso, which is if you've got a brand new container of gesso, it's actually pretty thick. It's sort of the consistency of sour cream. Am I right?
Yep.
Yeah. And you don't need to have it that thick. You really don't. So what you want to do is, get a couple tablespoons of it out and put it into another container and just add like a tablespoon of water to it so that when you're stirring and mixing it, it has the consistency of, let me see.
Half and half.
Yeah, that would be a good definition there, Ree. I like that. Yeah. So about like half and half. So you don't want it to be watery because you actually do want, it to cover a bit. But yeah, like it's just because, there's nothing wrong with applying it right out of the container, but might as well save money. You just don't need it to be that thickly. And I think a lot of people feel that, if that's how it's sold, that's how you need to use it. You don't. But so what you're going to do is by putting down some of this gesso, you're actually going to seal the surface of your paper. Mine had a little bit of red from yesterday in it, so we're just going to blend it out. So you can see the glare of the light on where my little gesso area was. So what happens is when this dries, if you were to go back over it with a transparent kind of watery application of paint, it wouldn't sink in as much. It would want to stay on the surface and it wouldn't be bad. It just gives you a different look. But what we're going to do today is to experiment more with thicker, more opaquely created paint, because yesterday we learned and played a lot with the transparency. Today I wanted us to play with the more opacity, because as we talked about yesterday, contrast is a big thing about what we're going to be playing with, and it's sort of an overarching theme, of that can be like sort of the theme for our workshop: contrast. Playing dark against light, playing heavy against thin, playing bright against dark. And all the possibilities therein. So what I'm going to ask you to do now, before we go any further, is, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I would like to have you take 2 sheets of paper. One, and 2 sheets of that paper, they're both going to be coated with your gesso. And again, there's nothing, this isn't arty, but it's the prep that we need to do our work today. So, it's a good way to get used, kind of loosen up. Just get your gesso out into a little container, mix it with a bit of water if it's a brand new container and hasn't been mixed yet. Get your consistency to be like half and half, which I think is great. It's a great metaphor. And go ahead and cover 2 of your large sheets of paper. And in terms of how much, it's even if you manage to get just a light coat on, it still would, seal the surface so that when you go back with our other colors, you won't have to work so hard to cover that paper. Okay.
Are we covering 2 that we've already done, or the 2
No, 2
blank
new
ones?
sheets of paper. 2 new sheets of
new
paper.
sheets.
Yeah. And so we're going to prep them with our acrylic. We're going to come back and go to, another little exercise. And then when we're ready, we'll go back to those. They'll be all ready to go. Okay, so this should probably take 10, 15 minutes. Do it fairly rapidly. Again, I wouldn't worry about your technique. Just get it down any way you can. This is a good time to use your foam brushes because we want a pretty smooth surface. It's great to make gesso your friend because it really can help us in so many ways. On the other hand, we also know that we might not want to use it sometimes too. Okay, so go ahead, get ready. Mary, yeah, question?
Do you think it'll work on the Arches 88? Because I have
Yes.
so much of it. So that'll help it respond better, right?
Yes, 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 it will, Mary, yeah. Yeah, just be careful about your not adding too much water to yours. Yeah, you don't need a lot of water, you just need some water so that it's, you want it to not be a struggle to get it on your piece of paper. That's what I'm saying, if you're like, this stuff is really sticky, it's not coming down, it's just too thick. Carrie, do you have a question? You're muted. Yeah.
Okay. I was so busy trying to find my gesso and then stir it because it's so old. I hate to take up everyone's time.
That's okay.
Did you just say mix a couple of tablespoons of water with it and coat our paper, or do I mix in a color with it?
No, don't mix any color. No color necessary. Just go for white. Yeah, the whiter the gesso, and yeah, a little bit of water will loosen it up, Carrie. And again, this is because we don't want to have to fight with it. We just want it to go on nice and smooth. No anxiety about this. As I said, whatever amount you're going to get on that paper, it will keep your paint from soaking in. Yeah. So we're just trying to give that overall coat to the paper so you can see what gesso does for you.
Okay, thank you.
Adria, can we put it on with a scraper or?
Yeah, any way you want to put it on is fine. Yes, some people like to put it on with a piece of, cardboard, just scrape it on, or you can use a foam brush or whatever works for you. Something that's not going to take you too much time. Like you don't want to use a little brush, obviously. You want to use just something you can just slap it on there. Just,
would we intentionally want to make some marks or not?
No, just put it on. Yeah, what we're trying to do now is we're sealing our pieces. We're sealing 2 pieces of paper so that when we go back and apply an opaque color, it will not be such a struggle. Because, we love our paper for its absorbency, but then sometimes it's just annoying because we're trying to do something else with it. So.
It's really hard to see what's on it. I mean, where it is. Like the stroke on the arches completely disappears. It's,
oh, wow. Yeah, well, maybe start at the top and work your way down.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I might have to look in the light.
It uses quite a bit of gesso, right?
It does. It
Yeah.
does. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like a paint, sure.
Thanks.
If you hold it up to the light in a different way, you can kind of
Yeah.
see places you.
Oh,
missed.
yeah.
That's right. You
Yeah.
can definitely use light to sort of see the,
Take a bigger brush.
Hey, Maddie, I bumped into Alice on the.
Oh, really? We'll talk later.
I know. She was the one person I was thinking of yesterday.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Small world.
She's the only person that I know there, but now I know you.
That's right.
all right, so I'm going to mute everybody, and then we just have a little bit of time to on our own, go ahead and cover. And, like I say, if you like to have music going on, I really appreciate keeping my mind busy listening to something while I'm painting or doing anything. It's one of the strategies I use to keep that judge out of my brain. So maybe you may find that also helpful. But I'm going to mute, but if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and talk to me.
Hi, Adria. I have a question.
Yeah.
So it became clear that I couldn't work in my studio because it doesn't have great internet and because we have to be mostly quiet. So I went to the studio, brought some stuff home, but what I didn't bring was some gesso. So I have a container of sort of mostly white, like off-white
That's perfect.
paint, but it's semi-gloss. I can go down the street. It's okay.
No. Just use it. Yep, absolutely. That's fine, Betty. And I was saying yesterday that, if you have any leftover wall paint, you can use
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you said that. And I was thinking I could go down to the hardware stores like 10 minutes from here and I could get flat, but.
No, not necessary.
Alright.
No.
Okay,
Yeah. And you would do that same approach, Betty, just get some of that paint out. It depends on its thickness though. If you can
Yeah.
easily just place, paint it on, then it's fine. If you want to add a little bit of water, it won't hurt it.
it actually is a little bit separated, so it's
Stir it.
wetter on the top, so.
Yeah, you can just
yeah,
gotta
maybe
stir it
lower.
up. Yeah. Yep, stir it up. And sometimes gesso gets that way too, little water seeps and you just need to stir it up a bit. But yeah, adding water to any kind of house paint you have as a prep, or an underpainting is fine. Because it's all acrylic,
Okay.
same
Yeah.
stuff.
If you miss, Adria, if
Yeah.
you miss spots.
Yep.
It will.
It won't be bad. Don't worry about it. Nah,
Okay.
no, not at all, because we'll be covering it. It's just, a way
Yeah.
that I want to help you guys understand, how to not have to work so hard, because when we put our flat color of paint, opaque color on, if you don't prep it, you have to, first of all, you have to use more paint, if you're trying to be a little more economical. This is just a way to do it better and
Okay.
flatter. Yeah.
Is there a right side for BFK Reeves?
No,
Okay, thank you.
no.
Adrian, I'm just curious, before you start something, like, even though you're not supposed to have any idea, but would one decide, I want to put the gesso on because I want my overall effect to be more opaque versus just not doing it and having it be more translucent? Is
Yes.
that a decision to make at the beginning of a
Yeah,
painting?
Absolutely, it is. It is. And that's a great, I love your questions, Janice. They're really, really excellent questions. And, the other thing too is that a lot of times we think, oh, we got a white piece of paper, we just work with white. And that's good in some cases, but in a lot of cases, it's really like, it makes it harder because you got, you got to go back and put in the background, which, that's fine. But if you have the idea that you wanted to work with opacity, right from the beginning, this can make that go a little bit easier. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are certainly some decisions, and then you'll also see, Janice, what we're going to be doing with this paint. You'll see. I think it will reveal itself as we, move on today. Make it a little bit easier as we move forward.
Okay, done.
Good.
My second one had a little more water, so it'd be interesting to see the effect of that too.
Yeah, you're right, and that's all potentially changes things a little. Okay, I'm going to give everybody another. What do we need? 3-4 minutes?
Yes, my handle out of my foam brush. That shows how well they're made.
Yeah, I know they're crappy kind of, but yeah.
So that's all we had to do is get the gesso down
Yep.
right now.
2 sheets of
Okay.
paper, gesso, yep, and just put it aside because they're going to be drying while we do our next thing.
Oh, Adria, I had a technical thing as usual. I was using soft gel matte for gluing the paper, you divide it in 4, but it doesn't stick. And I don't have much to weight it with here.
Well, it should stick.
Yeah, well, I put on a lot, then I put on a little, but it's not sticking well.
Well, it takes a while to dry, and it may be more humid where you are, Mary, in which case it may take a little bit longer. Sometimes it's just the atmosphere you're in, that slows or quickens the acrylic to dry.
So I taped mine from the
Yeah,
back, and
good.
then I felt that it wasn't really, it was pulling up from the front.
Yeah.
So I put in little places, I put this soft gel,
Great.
and it seemed to me also that it wasn't really holding, but then I put books on it overnight.
Yeah.
And then,
The
and then,
Work, I just don't have any books here.
oh.
Yeah. Or you can even put, you know, some containers of paint or, you know, cans of food or, you know, whatever you have lying around there. I know the technical stuff is a thing for sure. It is. And, you know, I know we're all kind of working on like the shoestring here, you know, outside of our studios or whatever. But do the best you can with it. And however you get these things together, even if it's tape, it's fine. Because again, we're just process. Yes.
I found that Utrecht, their acrylic medium
Yeah.
has more tack.
Uh-huh.
And actually works better, the best that I've discovered as
Yeah.
an adhesive.
Oh, thank you.
Great. Yeah, I mean, there's all, yeah, I like the gel acrylic mediums as glues because they're very permanent. It's, you know, and yes, it all has a little bit of a learning curve. You know, we all want these glues that we use, you know, to just dry immediately and perfectly and done is done, you know, but sometimes you just have to kind of futz with them to get them to do what you want. And it is often better to have, you know, weights on it, whatever. But however you get it together, it's really, really fine. Okay, I want to go to our next step. So, you know, however you are, just like put that last couple of swipes on the piece of paper, and let's kind of come back to where we were. All right, so what I want to do now is to I think, let's see, what do I want to do? All right, let's go to this one. So we are, we're going to go, I'm going to do it on the floor so you guys can see me better here. Okay, let me describe what I want to do. So drips. We love drips. Drips are our friends. So drips can be very expressive. And so let me show you a little bit about drips, because that's sort of under the heading of more transparency, although it doesn't have to be. I use drips in my work a lot. Sometimes I don't use them at all, but as we were talking about different approaches to using paint, especially without a brush, it's a technique that you may find really interesting and exciting. And I thought that putting some drips on our the first, you know, pieces that we did yesterday, which are the ones with the ovals and the, you know, first sort of overlay of transparency would be a good thing to do. So what I'm going to do is, since I asked you all to bring sponges to class, we're going to use sponges. All right. And if you don't have it, you can just use your sponge brush. But, you know, I thought this is something that we haven't done. So, you know, you can use your whole brush, or you could, I mean, excuse me, this is just paint. It looks disgusting. It's not, it's just like paint. But you can cut your sponge up into smaller pieces easily, and then it makes it a little bit more easy to handle. And this is one where if you don't want to get paint on your hands, you know, you might want to put a glove on. But I'm going to, you know, just sort of dive right in here, and I'm going to mix up. I'm going to mix up some opaque paint, because this is sort of what one thing that we're going to be doing today is using opacity. So what I'm going to do is start with my gesso that I had in my little container here. And I've only got a little bit of mixed it in accidentally with some magenta. But I'm going to, I think, pick a different color. And yesterday we were doing, remember that our sort of theme of these things was complementary colors, right? We were kind of using complementaries as our go-tos here. That I'm going to, I think, make a complement. I'm going to make in my case, I think I'm going to go for light blue. I'm going to go back to the complement that I started with to begin with, which was blue. And I'm going to create a light blue starting with my white. So when you're creating a light color, you always want to start with your white first, white or gesso. And I'm just saying, I'm a big fan of using gesso as white because it's more opaque and it's cheaper. But that's just me, you know. I mean, if you, yeah, so it's either way is totally fine. And then I'm going to, let's see, that my blue, I'm going to mix some blue into my white. And I'm going to make, you know, my color. What I'm going to ask you to do is, you know, think about making about a quarter cup. So start with like a quarter cup of your white gesso. Because remember, we're going to be pouring this on all three paintings. Not all over, just in places. All right, so I'm in the process of mixing my paint, as you can see. I haven't added any water yet. Okay, so that's going to come later. Let me just get my color mixed up here. So again, this is a great way to make opaque color, you know, and all, you know, the key here is to know that white or your gesso, even just a little, will give you an opaque color, a color that will cover things that are beneath it. So,
Adria, can I use my,
yes.
can I use my flow color with this?
Yep, yes, you can use high flow. You can use any viscosity of paint you happen to have, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm just,
for example, like that's if we started with aquamarine, whatever blue we start with, use that blue.
yeah, if that's easy to do, absolutely.
Yeah.
I am getting a color here that is, it's not exactly the color I started with. It's fine. I mean, if you know, in the family, I guess, you know, that's also fine. You know, if you don't want to use exactly what you had or can't find it, don't worry. So anyway, I'm in the process of mixing my color. And when I finish mixing my color, then I'm going to go show you the next step here. So let me, you guys can all start that too. Go ahead and mix up your color with the white as the start. So we're kind of making a lighter version of that first color that we began with yesterday. Whatever that color was, you know, we had talked about starting with a kind of a cool color, just because you got to start somewhere, you know, and that seemed like a good choice. You know, like I said yesterday, a lot of this is, what do you want to see? It's like pick, you know, it doesn't almost doesn't matter what you start with, because the rest of the painting journey is about responding to what you put down already. You know, you got to start with something so you can respond to it. So just dive right in, make a decision. And that's part of not thinking, you know, don't think so much, because whatever you do is going to be fine. It's just going to, you know, maybe focus you in different directions. So I'm in the process of making mine. And I'll be done in a second here.
So Adria, I have to go upstairs to a different room for the paint. Should I wait for step 2 before I go up to mix?
Oh, yeah, Betty, sure, because then you can do it all at once. That makes sense.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let me show you some possibilities of drips here. Okay, so let's see here. First, I want to show it on a smaller sheet of paper. It's just easier for me to do that on this small
Adria,
paper. Yeah.
pick up your brush so we can see the viscosity, let it drip.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. I'm just preparing myself here.
Make a suggestion that maybe we mute so that we can not cut
Good
back.
idea. Yeah, we had talked about this yesterday. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, if you mute, then you won't lose my demo here. with other people talking. And also you can just put speaker view on. So all you see is me. If you're not already doing that, that's a good idea, or pin me, whatever it is that you do on your Zoom. Okay, so drips. So anyway, I have a color here, and everybody can see that. So it's a light blue. I mean, honestly, what happened was I had that magenta, and these colors are so powerful that it just wouldn't go away. So it's a little more lavender, but I don't care because it's in the same family. We talked a little bit about the idea of what would be the word? Not in terms of color and shape, sometimes less is more. So, we're kind of keeping to the complementary color thing on these particular pieces. And again, this is just a possibility. So I've got my paint here, and as you can see, it is actually pretty good consistency. Everybody see that? Can you see this pretty well here? Let me just see if I can. Yeah, so it's dripping off my brush, and that's actually pretty good. You can always add a little bit. Sorry about that. Okay. As I said, she's very, very noisy. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this, and I'm going to show you one of the possibilities for dripping. So let's see here. We don't want it to be really transparent because we were doing that yesterday. So, when you add water, just, less is more. Try to just like do, half a teaspoon first and see, by mixing it up, is that sufficient? And I mean, not that it's wrong. It's just that if you're trying to go for a more opaque drip. Okay, so this seems pretty good to me. Does everybody see that? See how it's dripping right off my paintbrush? All right, so now if I were to do a drip, one of the things you could do is to sort of, can everybody see this pretty well? Put a little puddle of your paint on certain spots on your bigger sheet of paper, and then simply allow gravity to do the rest. So that gives you a different kind of mark. And you can do big puddles, you can do little puddles, but part of this is that you're going to need to, once you've got your puddle down, pick your piece up and allow it to for gravity to work on it. Now, the other thing you could do is just do a line at the very top of your painting where you're not doing these individuals, but that you're doing sort of a, oh boy, I'm about to get paint all over my desk here. Don't do it as I'm doing, do it with your plastic. To start at the top here and just kind of very slowly let that paint, kind of build up at the very tippy top, and don't stroke it. Don't try to brush it. Just let the paint kind of do a drippy thing all by itself and allow it to come right from the top and go down onto your work. So what I'd love you to do is to play with some drips on those first 3 pieces we did yesterday. It's up to you. And, this is another one of like, if you liked it, I mean, good. I'm happy that if you liked it, that's great. But guess what? We're going to keep building it, and try to reserve your judgment. trying not to go, oh, I liked it better, blah, 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 blah. No, no, no. Just say, that's interesting. And that's the kind of frame of mind we want to cultivate through this whole class. Isn't that interesting? So go ahead and play with your drips. Yeah.
Yeah. Since I didn't do step 2 with a paper with an opposite color, do you want me to do that first?
No, go ahead and drip, Betty, because you can do that opposite color later. And we're going to
do
have
later,
some fun.
okay.
Yeah, and you know what? You're going to be able to catch up all of this afternoon when we have a little bit more free working time.
Oh,
You
good.
know, I don't
Cool.
want to be too directive after we kind of reach a sort of saturation point.
All right.
So go
All
ahead,
right.
don't worry
Cool.
about it. Just catch up. Yeah, I want you to do it with the class. So yeah, the next couple of minutes, just go ahead and drip, drip, drip. It's up to you how many
But
drips you want.
Adria-
Where you want
And
them.
Adrian, on one of the paintings, just
On
one
all
of them.
3 of them.
Oh, all three
All
of
3
them.
of them. I want you to play with the drips because if you did it on one, it could get too precious. I want you
But
to try different drips, different places. You don't have to do a lot. You could do a little bit, but see what happens when you drip your opaque paint.
Okay, Adrian, how much time? Give us a time limit.
About 15 minutes.
Oh, wow. Oh, I thought you were gonna say 5.
Well, I got to give you a little time just to kind of, make it happen. I mean, if you get done earlier, that's fine. 10 minutes would be great. If you make it faster, that's wonderful. Whatever works for you. You are going to, have some spills, so be prepared in your place to catch the spills.
Adria, it seems that the color
Yeah.
is very similar to the background.
Oh, yeah.
Because you said use the same color, right? So
Well,
one
if
is
you
very,
if you want it to be darker, you can add more paint to it to make it darker, Maddie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, again, we're just playing here.
Okay.
There's no like, oh, it should be better, whatever. Just try it. Yeah. But if you feel like you wanted to make it darker, absolutely.
So my paint is old and it's like lumpy. So-
Yeah. It means
So,
it's drying. Yeah. And there's really, but just, you know what? It might be an
Yeah,
interesting texture. So just
Right.
kind of go with it, do the best you can with it. But this is also, an exercise in using paint up. There's no sense in conserving it because you already bought it. The only thing that's going to happen with old paint is it's going to dry and you're just going to end up throwing it away. So better to use it. Really, enjoy a lot of paint and enjoy that you can make a lot of paint and just be playful with a lot of paint instead of just worrying about that you're using it and wasting it. So we don't waste paint when we're using it. That's not wasting it.
What fun.
Oh, good.
Don't, oh. Don't want it to blow.
So I'm just taping my keys up to my drawers here, because that's what I have.
This must take a while to dry.
No, I mean, acrylic is really pretty fast.
Oh, okay,
By the time we get back to this, it will be dry.
great. Yay.
You just would be patient and it will happen. But
I'm gonna
you can
done.
see one here. So I just hung mine up on my back there, with my plastic underneath, just in case anything drips off it. It doesn't seem to be dripping on the floor. Yours might be, but just put the plastic down and it should be fine, and it should be dry. I'm going to say in about at least a half an hour, maybe faster. Do not judge that work. Just do it. Just engage in the process. And, again, look at that. That's interesting. Look what happened. Okay, just a few more minutes here.
I'll go back to gluing. Oops, sorry.
Okay, does everybody have pretty much spills down there, drippy drips done?
So Adria, we weren't using the sponge on this, right?
Oops, I know. Well, I didn't. You're right, Ellen. Damn it. Don't worry. we're gonna use
That's
this one.
okay. I was worried I did it wrong. Well, the teacher did it wrong.
No. I know. I changed I decided to do opaque before, and we're going to be doing it with sponge. I promise you. I promise.
That's okay.
I want us to be using sponges. Oh my God. Okay. Come on back, everybody. Let's proceed to the next thing. All right, so now what we're going to do is go back to our whatchahoosies, the quartered cut pieces. Where's mine? See what I do with it. Oh my gosh, what did I do with it? Here. All right, so we're going to talk now about the pieces that we did with your contour lines yesterday. So, and by the way, you can see what I'm doing here. We are moving back and forth, you know, over paper, over, you know, a sort of process. And that is actually really, I think it's a very efficacious way to work, because you're, you know, getting things to dry. And a lot of times, you know, when we race to have it dry and then we work on top of it when we shouldn't have, it's, you know, we may not be achieving what we wanted to do. So it's so nice to have this something else to work on and then go back and forth. And again, what happens is that, you know, your judgment on all this stuff, you know, it can be delayed, you know, and your, what you learn, you know, in doing one of these, you can apply to the other ones. So it's just a really great way to kind of spread your attention across, you know, several things going on at the same time. You know, and to break that habit of feeling like you have to finish one piece, like this is the be all end all, you know, it's sure to really, it's like stage fright, like, you know, oh my gosh, you know, I have to go on stage and, you know, I'm so scared and, oh my God, what if I screw it up and all that stuff. But if you have multiple times, you know, to get on stage, you know, you get less fearful. So it's kind of like that with your paintings, you know, you just kind of have a lot going on, and, you know, and if one is, you know, you need to think about it and just let it rest for a while, you can do that while not having to, while still being able to be in the studio and feeling like you're doing productive, you know, trying a lot of different things, getting things, you know, moving forward. So that's the strategy here. So we're going back to the second series of things that we did, where, remember we did a crazy big blind contour line drawing of our hands 5 different times. We cut 2 of them up and we rearranged them, you know, quarters. So we had, you know, also we had the big transparent shapes on them. So we ended up with a, you know, kind of an interesting, mine doesn't have the big shapes on it. I didn't do that part of it, but you can imagine. What we have here is, you know, a really interesting, you know, kind of a beginning of a painting. So one thing that we can do here is to join the lines, you know, and that's kind of like, all right, it's no longer a hand. It was, you know, and now it's this collection of, you know, these, you know, lines and shapes that I really, you know, it was almost like happenstance how they ended up, you know. And so let's just see what happens when I join. You know, what are some of the possibilities that I might have to join these lines? So let me get a brush. And again, I would suggest doing this while you're standing so that, you know, the line quality can be similar to what we had yesterday, where we're not trying to hold the brush, you know, with a death grip up here and trying to sketch and control. We want that same looseness that you can only get by standing up, really, and, you know, putting paint on your brush and allowing, you know, gravity again to drag. So let's be like whimsical about, you know, how we join these lines. So here's one that kind of like, what if I took a little walk this way? And then I ended up coming back over here and joining up with this guy here. Okay, good. So, and then everywhere you see kind of a dead end line, you know, just do that. Let your brush kind of take a little walk and, you know, spin it and turn it and allow the lines to join. So it's really a different thing than we were doing yesterday. It's like, we're not looking at anything. What we're doing, we're actually looking at the painting that we've got, and we're responding to the lines that happened yesterday. So this is pretty, okay. I feel like this is done for where I want us to go next. So as you can see, I basically did that probably about a minute is all it took me to do that. I would like you guys to go back to your 2 pieces and do the same thing. Just join the line, stand up, hold your brushes at the very tippy top, get some nice loose paint going. It doesn't even have to be the same color, you know, who cares? I mean, this is all part of the process, and just join up your lines in any way that that appeals to you. There's no right or wrong. Okay, so join the lines. All right, let's come back to work in about, let's come back to join back to the Zoom in about 10 minutes. Shouldn't take you that long, but don't overthink it.
It'll take me longer. I'll try to come back anyway.
Okay, Betty, yeah.
All right.
Are we standing up? Are we letting the brush just do its own thing? Yes, we are. We are not judging. No, we're not.
Okay. So Adrian, I know this sounds anal, but I mean, I didn't just do one, I did pick up my brush.
That's fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
I mean, it
this-
wasn't just one long.
No,
okay.
no. That was yesterday. This is today. Yep.
Okay.
New thing. New thing. Okay, everybody. Let's not overthink this. Come on back. Okay. We ready? What we want to do now is we want to just trying to think. There's so many possibilities here. Okay. We want to, I think, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to mix up another opaque color. So if you want to start with the color that you had before, let me see here. I want us to mix up a color that is a provocative color for you. And so this could be a color that you find, very bright and exciting. This could be a color like, bright pink that has, for you kind of an associative, strong feelings about. This could be a color that, is just, you really, sort of love it because of the associations. I mean, why do we love colors? A lot of times it's because we associate some happy or joyous experience with it. Who knows? It could be, your favorite dress when you were 3. It could be, the color of your room when you were a teenager. I mean, who knows? It's just very subjective. So I guess what I'm doing is inviting you to mix up a larger amount, again, about a 1/4 cup of paint that is opaque. In other words, it's going to have some white in it. And just go ahead and mix that color up right now. So we'll take, 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes at most, to go ahead and mix up this new color. Again, you want to have enough of it to cover one whole sheet. So that's what we're going to be doing. Let me just say what we're doing now is we're creating a color that we're going to be painting on top of one of the pre-gessoed pieces of paper we did this morning. Yeah, Jan.
Are you saying that the color we pick has positive response in us?
Just a response, a sort of a provocative response. In other words, it's not a color you don't care about. It's a color that's kind of like, got some, moves you in some way, provokes you to, an energetic color. I don't know. Cherry, does that make sense? Go ahead.
What kind of value? Did you say light, or does it matter the value?
It doesn't matter a whole lot, but I think it might be kind of good to work with a sort of medium value of color. So not super dark and not super light.
Thanks.
And Adrian, you said to put some gesso in it?
Yeah, because I want it to be opaque. Otherwise, you won't get an opaque color. Yeah, this is about, how do we, again, practicing making an opaque color, an opaque flat color that's going to be one flat color on top of the gesso that we did. So you do need to start with some white or gesso first.
So this is, does this have to go with the other colors?
This is going to be a new start.
Totally.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
okay.
color is going to be on top of one of the gessoed pieces you already did this morning.
Right.
Yeah.
On just one gesso paper? One? Adria, or
Yes,
both?
yes, you're gonna be painting this color once you make it on one of the pieces of paper. The other one will be black, just FYI, so you won't need to mix that one. So we're gonna end up just before lunch today with needing to paint one whole sheet of that gessoed paper black. And then the other whole gessoed piece of paper with this new provocative color, whatever it is, bright pink, purple, I don't know, whatever, you know, is everybody's gonna be different,
Like
good
a
and bad.
bright, with a bright color.
Bright color, a color that's got like, yeah, you know, just sort of an energetic color for you. Because you got black, so you know it's pretty. That's a very dark, somber color. So I'm looking for you to create a color that will be, you know, juxtaposed with that kind of contrasted. And you might just, you know, you're going to be making this color up as you go. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't really matter what it is that you end up with. Like I said before, but just the instruction is that it's kind of an energetic color. Sorry to be so vague. I don't want to tell you what color to make. I want you to, you decide.
So I'm sorry, I missed the beginning. We should now mix up an energetic color.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
enough so that you can cover one of the sheets of paper that we just said this morning, Betty.
Oh, a lot. Okay.
A lot, yeah, like a quarter cup.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So here's where you can start. You're going to want to start with a little bit of that house paint that you have, because that's your gesso.
Yeah.
Start with a little bit with that. You're going to want to make it like a medium value, you know, like not too
Okay.
dark, but not too light.
All right.
It's
Yeah.
a color that's got, you know, sparks in, it's something in you, you know, like you know, you're just like a flamboyant, fun color, a color that you don't ever
Yeah,
use.
yeah, I'm a pink girl, so yeah.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, you know.
All right.
So let's just mix up that color and then come back. And then I'm going to just give you some tips on, you know, what to do in terms of applying it to your surface. Okay, everybody, if you're not quite done, that's okay. What I think I'm gonna do is give you the instructions for, the time when you're gonna be actually just covering these 2 sheets of paper. Let me go and get that stuff. Let's see here. Okay. So I'm going to just show you. So what I'm wanting us to do here is to create these nice big sheets of paper that are pretty flatly painted. And I think I'm hoping what you're finding, which you will find when you go on top of your gessoed papers, is that you're not going to find the paint seeping in quite as much as you were doing earlier. And so this way you won't be, using more paint than you need. It's the gesso, as I said before, the gesso seals the surface of the paper, as does any kind of a heavier application of acrylic. So if you're looking for those, very velvety, stained looking, areas of paint that we were doing yesterday, it won't happen as easily if you're working on a gessoed piece of paper. So that's why you use gesso. Gesso can save you money. It can seal the paper. It works as white. It's actually a very useful thing to have in your studio for all kinds of things if you've never used gesso before. So anyway, this is not gesso, but we're going to pretend it is, because I'm just going to show you what I want you to do is to make this nice flat area of color. We're going to have this luscious, flat, beautiful, opaque piece of paper from which we will do countless things this afternoon. So no biggie. In terms of application, you can use any brush, but a bigger one will make it go faster. But as you can see, it's a nice flat, beautiful application of color, that we will be using as background, as some things to cut from, et cetera, et cetera. So one of your sheets, I want to be your color, and the other one just flat black. When with the black, you don't need to add anything. The black is pretty opaque. The black should go on just fine as it is, and just have at it. So why don't we say that, let's see how long this takes. I don't know, it may take 15 minutes, it may take 20, but let's give us that much time to do as much as you can with it. And if we have time, before lunch, we'll see what else we can do, and then take a break. All right, so go ahead, everybody. Go find your pieces of gesso. I'm assuming that at this point they should be pretty dry.
I have a question.
Yeah.
The paint is very, very thick. Should I add some water to it or just leave it?
Add a little bit of water to it, Mary. But again, you don't want to end up with a glaze, like we did yesterday. We want a really flat, opaque color.
And also, I have these things.
Yeah.
Are they good for spreading?
Well, yeah, I was going to say that, you can use them whenever you want to use them. You could try using it with this application. It probably would be fine.
Okay, I'll try.
She's talking about using her sponges. I'm sorry, I skipped that part of using the sponge. We'll go back to using sponges. We'll do it this afternoon. Maddie, yeah?
Okay, so just to clarify again, sorry.
Yeah.
One, we're going to do the made up color.
Yeah.
And then the other, we're going to do black.
Yes.
Okay.
So you should have 2 big sheets of paper, one the new color, one just black.
And can we use credit card to spread it?
Yeah,
or-
sure. Oh, that's a good
anything.
idea. You could spread your paint using a credit card if you want to. Yeah, there's all, like I said, there's all kinds of ways. Yes, you can do that. Absolutely. Whatever works, just get that paint covering, and we want to make it so that it's nice and opaque. So,
And I apparently don't have any black. I just have Payne's gray. So can I use that?
yeah, just make sure that it's you know, with the Payne's gray, that is a color, you know, once you see how
Bluish.
opaque it is, yeah, you might need to add a little bit of white to that as well. But it's okay.
Okay.
It'll be a dark
Okay,
color,
yeah.
Mary, as long as it's, you know, a dark color that you have, yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Adria, with a credit card, it gives some lines. Is that okay? Wait, you're muted. You're muted.
Sorry. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine, yeah. And I think, you know, as it dries too, you'll probably see those lines fade. Yeah, I think a lot of times, you know, once you start to work, any kind of line or brush just kind of disappears.
Adria, I like the tactile feeling of painting on top of the gesso.
Yeah, it's it does give you, yes, you know, all kinds of different sort of sensations, and that's, you know, part of, I think, what appeals to us as human beings. You know, we have a sense of tactility and the pressure and the resistance to the, you know, brush on that piece of paper. All of that stuff is part of this experience, and that's what we love about it. We weren't born to move around mouses.
So Adria, I'm going to do my black now. You say just put it down with not even any water?
No.
Okay, so-
Oh, well, wait a minute. if you're using, do you have heavy body paint? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would add a little water. Yeah.
Because I think it'd be very hard to
It's too-
spread it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yes. If you have just a heavy body that's paint in the tube, you will probably have a better experience if you squeeze, like a couple tablespoons of that out into a small container, add like a tablespoon of water and just mix it. You don't want to make, obviously, you want to avoid making it too transparent. You want it to try to make a really nice saturated black.
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
hopefully that will work. How are we doing? Okay, good, Ellen. Yeah, you could unmute yourselves.
I underestimate how much paint you need
Yeah,
for the black.
I had a flat black paint, so that's okay, right?
anything. Yep, yep. Again, it's all good. It's all not to worry about. Any permutation is fine. You know, it's just again, everybody will have slightly different possibilities. Okay, let's see. So looks like Rhea is done. Ellen is done. Carrie, are you done over there? You're done? Okay, people are pretty done. I mean, let's just come together anyway, because you still have time. We're about to take a little like 20-minute break for lunch, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, if you still need to finish up your paintings, you can do that. So how does that sound, everybody? You know, take a break, come back at, well, see, it's 10 of noon right now. We'll come back at 10 after 12. Is 20 minutes enough today?
No.
Maybe 12:15, just if,
Sure. 12:15? 12:15, okay, good. All right, let's do 12:15-ish, you know, give or take. And if you have any questions or problems, just let me know. I'll stay online just for a little bit longer and then take a break too. But if anybody has any, you know, burning questions.
Yeah, I'm having trouble. The black, I'm using this one. It's what I had. Boy, I have to use a ton of it. Is that normal?
Well, it's, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it is because you're using heavy body, Mary. Did you squeeze it a little bit out into a container with some water?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, that's it. So part of this is learning that if you're gonna work big, you actually do really need a lot of paint.
yes.
You know, I mean,
Huge.
it's just like part of the lesson here. It's just, you know, you can't be skimpy, or, you know, you can be, but you know, you may really want to think about how much paint you might want to need. You need.
I guess did Jackson Pollock use house paint?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I guess that's what.
Yep.
Because it would cost a fortune not to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he used enamel paint, which, you know, oil-based enamel paint, which they don't even make anymore because it's, you know, the fumes are so bad.
Oh, yeah.
You can't get it. You can get acrylic enamel paint, you know, something that looks like that enamel, but yeah.
Black
Yeah.
is kind of streaky.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it. I mean, it
Okay.
just means that you probably need to go back over it, Maddie, with more black. Can you
Okay.
show me? Can I see? Yeah, you had a little bit too much water in there. Do you have more black? Are you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah. Just have to put more paint on it. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I show you mine, Adrian?
Yes, please. Yeah.
If you want me to put on more paint.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that looks pretty good to me, Janice. Yeah.
Okay,
You know,
I mean,
it doesn't look-
there's some white streaks coming through a little bit, but
well, if you see that, you know what, you could go eat, you know, maybe have something to eat, come back, and then when it's dry, if it's still really streaky, just put a little more black there.
okay.
Yeah. Part of this is just, you know, learning the approach of actually painting such big an area, you know, and it does take a little bit of, you know, learning curve to get there nice and flat.
If you use a roller, would you get flat?
A roller is a good idea too. Sure, if you have a roller, you could try a roller. Yeah, it's a lot of possibilities. Okay, so I'm going to disappear and I will see you in about, you know, 20 minutes or so. 12:15 we said. So have a good lunch and I will catch you on the other side.
I think I missed this. Adria,
Yeah, hi. Yes, Betty.
it's me.
Yeah. Hi, what's up?
I just arrived.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have black paint. I was trying to cover the paper with India ink, but I mean, it's a very interesting texture, but the gesso was house paint that was semi-gloss, so the ink isn't completely
Oh,
covering.
no. Oh,
So I
dear.
have- So
Okay.
it's sort of spotty. I like it, but it's not what you want.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I can go down to the hardware store and get it. In my studio, I have blackboard paint, which I use sometimes, but I didn't bring it home. And I can
yeah.
get some more.
Um, do you have any other dark color of acrylic with you?
I have a lot of acrylic gouache at home. I have ultramarine,
Okay.
and I can mix. I usually mix my blacks, so I mean I can mix.
Yeah, why don't you do that, Betty? Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, that is good to know that you have an interesting texture with the ink, but I mean, part of what I do want to have you do is, you know, have that experience of working against a really solid black.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if you are able to get that gouache, you know, together and maybe put, you know, some kind of a dark value on there, that would be great.
Okay, and then now is there another instruction? Because I see everybody split again.
Lunch.
Oh.
We're gonna come back at 12:15 for lunch, from lunch, all right? So you have it. Yeah, the instruction was just to finish painting, do the best you can with it, and then, you know,
All
go,
right,
go eat, and we'll see you back at the other side.
all right, fabulous, thanks.
Yep. Hello. Boy, that 20 minutes goes fast. Oh my God. I basically shoveled some food in my mouth and I'm back to work here. Oh my goodness. It's too fast, everybody, or we're okay? We're okay with the time?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we said 12:15, or maybe my clock's wrong.
No, we did say 12:15. No. I'm here. We have 1 minute. No, just kidding. Okay, how's everybody doing? Hanging in there? Yeah? You're ready to go? Good.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
This is a
Okay.
marathon. This is a marathon. Yeah.
Oh.
I know the time goes very quickly. It's amazing, 2 hours just flies by. Which I think it's probably a good thing. At least it's flying by for me. Oh goodness. All right, we'll just wait for people to show up here and everybody's
I know,
starting back.
Let's do four more hours.
You could go for 4 more hours? Good. All right, good. Well, so you have 2 more to go. And then, of course, you can keep going after we sign off today. And then the end of tomorrow with a big bang.
Have you watched the movie TikTok Bang Bang?
I haven't.
Go watch it. It's fantastic. It's the story of the guy who wrote the musical Rent.
And yeah.
And yeah, it's really worth watching.
Is it about creativity?
Yep. It's about creativity and his single pointed focus on it. And it was not an easy journey.
No.
A lot of rejections. And then finally he makes it, but it's all done, woven in. The whole plot line is woven in with music.
Oh, wow. This sounds great. I'd love to see
Yeah,
it.
no, it's really great. Very entertaining.
Mhm. I just finished watching the 3-part Get Back, the Beatles
Yeah.
documentary. And I mean, it is also a lot about creativity as well. Of course, it's a completely different art form, and collaboration and how
Yep.
hard that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, that
This
was
Kit Kat movie on which streaming network?
That's the Disney Plus. Get Back. Yeah.
And TikTok Boom is on Netflix.
Uh-huh.
Oh, good. Yeah. Great. I always love to
Thank you.
get some advice about what to watch next. So that'll be good. Okay, everybody. Looks like everybody's back. Yeah, I hope that was enough time. We can, but tomorrow we're going to meet at noon. Remember that, everybody. Yeah, not
Oh,
10.
really? So it's noon to 4, noon to
12 to
4.
4. Yes, 12 to 4.
Oh, okay.
I figured, that might be a good way
That's
to-
the Concord Art Hours.
Yes, right. That's right. Yes. So 12 to 4. Okay, so this afternoon, I wanted to just throw out a few other possibilities for you. And then I really wanted you to have some time to, reflect on these pieces that we've done. We've really done, we've really got a lot in process here, a lot. And, I thought it might be really good to have maybe the last hour or so, something like that, to, spread these in front of you. And, the other thing I wanted to say about your space is it'd be great if there was a way for you to hang up these works and be able to step back from them. It's such an important part of the process that we really haven't talked about yet, mostly because I really wanted to keep us flowing and we haven't come to that reflective time. But when we do, you know, it's so important to step back from your work. It's what I find myself saying constantly in classrooms. Step back from your work, step back from your work, hang it up, get back, stand back like 10 feet if you can, whatever. I know, you know, everybody's got different circumstances where you are, but if you can just get a few feet back from your work, it makes all the difference. You know, things that you don't even see happening will be made obvious to you when you step away. Okay, so what I want to do is, first of all, ask you, as I am wont to do, you know, what this was like this morning, you know, to reflect on dripping, reflect on, you know, the use of gesso, the use of white, creating an opacity, you know, what's new for you, what was, you know, what excited you, what was difficult? Any thoughts?
Oh, I like learning about gesso and how it can be used instead of like titanium white or any of that other stuff.
Yeah.
And just the opaque quality, you know, the opaqueness and how you can use that mixed with color. I like that. That was a new thing for me. I always thought of gesso as just a surface protector, but not necessarily
it's very useful. That's great.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a big one. And, you know, as you understand how you can use it, you'll find it's incredibly useful. And that big jar that you've been avoiding when if you happen to have it, now you know what to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Great. Anybody else?
And sometimes you get gesso in sort of a more liquidy form, not as thick. You can get it
that
in.
just mean they watered it down for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You know, it's all about what the manufacturer is giving you. So
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, Maddie.
I just want to say the joining the lines, I thought that was great. I didn't even think about that, you know, so that was great.
Oh, good. Yeah, well, a lot of this is, yeah.
I didn't hear what Maddie said. She said what?
Joining the lines. I like that.
Okay, yes, joining your lines when you, on the cut-ups. Yeah. Anyone else? Janice, yeah, go ahead. Oops, you're muted. You mute yourself. Yeah.
I love the dripping exercise because I was turning my paper in different directions. So I was changing the drip of the directions, and that was interesting. So, I mean, what I like, it's like, that's what I love about trying to work this way. It's just the unexpected. Which I experienced in my class with Amy Wynn last year too. It's a very different emotional response than when I try to work more representational, which is satisfying too. But this is like, this has like a fun and like, oh, element to it.
Absolutely. And, you know, this question about, you know, representation versus abstraction, you know, it comes into play when you're thinking about learning a skill. And I think that, you know, learning to draw is really about learning a skill, you know, and it's like learning to read. Like there are ways that you can learn to do it. I think just about, you know, I would say that people can be taught to draw and with practice you can learn to draw well, but it may not be how you, and I don't know that it's really necessarily the same thing as self-expression. I mean, I think that, you know, it's a different kind of a thing. You know, to me, when you use the skills of representation, it means that you have decided that what you want to communicate to talk about to yourself and to other people needs to be communicated, you know, with symbols that we can recognize as being from the real world. And some people are very much drawn to that and others are not, you know, and it's and I think that when, we're in art classes like, how to draw classes or still life classes or landscape drawing, whatever, it's the question of what you're trying to communicate isn't necessarily the point of it. And anyway, I mean, it's just, it's an interesting thing. I don't want to take too much time to talk about it, but yeah, it's to think about what it is that you are drawn to, what feels right, what interests you as a person, and where you are. Like, the skill to learn how to draw something well is in itself very satisfying. But is it art making? Just because you drew something, is that a piece of art? It might be, it might not be, and that piece where the something is turned into art is like this alchemical reaction. Yeah. What is it that we put into that, effort that suddenly transforms it? It's like what we were talking about yesterday with spewing colors and shapes and throwing it on a canvas and throwing anger and despair and everything on a canvas. You're using art materials to do that, but is that intrinsically art? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, and people have debated about what is art for as long as there have been people. So, but anyway, it's all these interesting questions. I have no answers for you. I just posed that question. Okay, back to reality here. Let's just not get ourselves out on a tangent. Let's talk about these two pieces of paper that we used, black and this crazy color. And I just used the color that I had mixed up earlier, as something that I had easily on hand. But you have these two really big pieces. And I imagine that if this is a new thing for you, if you've never done coverage of such a big space ever before, that's a cool thing to be able to do, to know how to do that. Because I think, again, this kind of painting isn't necessarily something that you easily know about. And as I said, the trick is, the opaqueness of the color, the ability for it to cover. And so you've got, a piece of paper that, has a really nice flat surface. And I'm hoping that you discovered that with a gesso, it didn't take as much paint as it might have. Did you notice that? Because the gesso has, Carrie's saying now it took just as much, right? Yeah, okay, well, whatever. Anyway, it does, yeah, seal it. Carrie, you're muted. Go ahead and unmute. Yeah.
I think I just got too picky because I was trying to cover up
Watch out. What?
talking about, and then I heard you say they'll cover up themselves. But
yeah,
anyway.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, yeah. And as you can see, you'll see from what we're going to be doing with this that perfection is not the object here. And that old saying about don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Is that right? Yeah. Right. So and also this is a kind of loose experience. Anyway, I should be talking to you guys all here. This is a loose and open experience, not any way you did it is going to be fine. Okay, so let's go back to this black and other color. Look at this beautiful black velvet. This is why I wanted you to have black. And I know that the discussion of black as a color is something that comes into play. With the Impressionists were big on not using black out of the two because they felt that the color black, which is a mixture of all colors together, was richer. And that may be true. I mean, I don't have a feeling about that one way or another. I just use black. I love black right out of the two. I love carbon black. For my kind of work, which is abstract, this is I adore having the ability to just have it right out of the tube. So what we're going to do now is going to play with opposites here. So I'm going to show you a really fun little thing that we're going to be doing, and just watch me here. So when I put my two pieces of paper together and I cut out, first of all, I'm going to cut out like just a kind of random shape. Oops. At the same time, oh, look what I've got. Now, hopefully this works. So, uh-oh, I think I screwed up. Oh, well, but what I want to do is, I know how to do this though. Yeah, so this one ends up on this and that one ends up on that. And by cutting, and I think we have to do, let me see. I think we have to do it this way. Not facing each other, but I think we have to do it this way. We're going to get a large composition where we use both colors simultaneously to have designs on both sides. Does that make sense? All right, and give me a second to figure out how this is going to work here. Does anybody, let's see, if I put them back to back, is that the right way? Let me just try this. Let's see if this is going to work.
Adria, had I known we were going to do, I now have orange and black, which is my most detested combination of
Oh,
colors.
good. I'm glad. I'm so
So
glad. No, no,
It's so-
this is your
You
button.
know, all I can think of is Halloween.
Oh, well, see, we're gonna, you know, have change that for you. We're gonna change that.
Okay, that's all right.
Have to
I just think it's
live with
funny.
it. Yeah. All right, so what I'm doing now is experimenting how we can, forgive me for this a little problem here, but let's just see if this is gonna work. Okay, so you see what I'm trying to do, right? See, what I'm trying to make this symmetrical kind of a thing going on here, where we cut shapes out of both sides. Where is this one? No, that didn't work either. Okay, I'm going to figure this out and get back to you. Meanwhile, here I want to show you another variation, because once I'm finished showing you this, don't worry, we're going to come back to this guy in a second. See, even the teacher screws up, but trust me, it's going to be cool. I also wanted to talk to you about stencils. I love stencils. And I love hand making them, and I love using commercial stencils. I don't have a problem with it because it's all going to be you anyway. But this is a commercial stencil that I got, I don't know, many, many years ago. Actually, I got this from Urban Outfitters, believe it or not. But it's made out of very lightweight plastic. But you can make your own stencils out of, you know, any kind of drawing paper. You know, they may not hold up quite as well as plastic, but let me just show you, you know, the benefits of using plastic, using these stencils. And I'm going to show you this on my big one over here. So, okay, let me just put my camera so that you can see. I'm going to use that. I'm going to work right on my wall there. And with this, I'm going to use black. So I'm going to show you how when you add introduce another color and another kind of shape to one of these works we've already got, you sort of up the ante. You complicate it, you enhance it. You know, you may go overboard. You know, but that's kind of that question that we're gonna, you know, be faced with at some point. All of us with. You know, how much is too much? How much is not quite enough? So for the stencil, I know that people, you know, sometimes are hoping to get this perfect outer edge. Give that up. Don't even try for that. Just let it happen. However it happens, we are friends with the word painterly. The word painterly connotes a sort of laissez-faire, relaxed, unexpected kind of looseness. All right, so I'm going to take some paint, got black on my little brush here, and I'm going to go over to my painting, and I'm going to figure out what to do with my black. So, you know, you have a lot of choices. You can decide to just, you know, fill them all in completely. You can let some of it show. But you're introducing, you know, another layer. So what's happening with these big pieces is that we are really layering. The painting is growing by, you know, a sort of agglomeration of different kinds of marks and different kinds of approaches. So let's just see what happens. And I love the fact that when you take away that stencil, you've got something really exciting to look at where you know, didn't have that before. So let's lift that. And all of a sudden we have some space, you know, that happens so that the black sort of floats on top of all this other stuff that's going on behind it. We might want to repeat, you know, when you have elements in a composition, it's a nice, it's a kind of a good sort of thing to remember that our eyes want to find similarities. You know, we talked about how we keep wanting to see images and things. Well, another, you know, a natural human instinct is to want to find similarities in a work of art. And so your eye will pick up maybe the red squiggle, and then you'll come down here and see that. Oh, and then it'll bounce back over here. So you see that, and then, you know, the edges of these things like lead you to other parts of the painting. So I might just decide to do, like, you know, one more up here, and try not to get paint on my drawers here. So I may just want to repeat it. I may I might want to do one more over here. So this is where you start to have some fun and play within, you know, with the additions of these other things. And the other great thing about the stencil is that, you know, you don't get into that headspace of, oh, I can't draw, you know, or, you know, kind of having this sort of sense of, it's not quite what I want. You know, the stencil is, you know, you can make a stencil, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Really from any material, and because it doesn't include a lot of detail, you know, you're really working pretty broadly. There's a lot of leeway. So simply to make a stencil, what you want to do is to take a piece of paper, and you know, stencils can be simple geometric shapes. I would say keep them simple, because stencils, this kind of stencil making does not lend itself for detail. And again, that's what we're after. We don't want little tiny details. We're gonna, you know, get there. If we want to do that, that can come later. But, you know, you can cut a really simple shape, and it can be, you know, you know, you could have one, you could have two on the same pieces of paper, but you just, you know, cut that shape out with scissors. And, you know, you have this, you can have a little vocabulary of shapes that you use over and over again. And the more acrylic paint you get on them, the more like plastic they become. So they can almost become this alphabet of shapes that you have. You can know that you always have to go to enhance your work. So let me just do this here. There we go. So here's a stencil that I just made out of paper. And as I said, again, because it's paper, it's going to be a little, you know, when you first use it, you don't want to use it with really watery paint, because what will happen is it's going to seep under the edges. But if you use, you know, your heavy body paint, and you paint going toward the center, you know, not underneath. People get into trouble with the stencils kind of splooching out because they're forcing the paint in, you know, into the edges. You draw your paintbrush, you know, from the top down. or even use, a spatula is a good thing to use, or a paint knife, but you're going, from the outside in. That's a way to avoid having it splooch out. But as I said, the splooching is kind of part of the beauty of this process. And we're going to just, to just enjoy and own it. So here's what I have to say. I'd like to suggest that we spend just a couple of minutes, say 10 minutes or so, making 2 or 3 stencils out of paper. Just very simple shapes. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to go back to my my process of the black and and another color and get back to you about how we're going to be able to do this so that we get a symmetrical design. So I'm going to be working on my end. You're going to be working on your end, and we'll meet in about 10 minutes here. Okay. So just the simple directions for you guys are: get a couple of plain sheets of white paper, anything you have around is fine. White drawing paper is great, and cut a couple of simple shapes out of it. I'd say 2 or 3 is great, so that you'll have these to use as we proceed in our work, and we'll have them for the rest of the class. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off and just concentrate to see if I can get this
Adria? Are we supposed to be putting our stencil on our painting?
You know, that's actually probably, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that. So yeah, while I'm still futzing around with this black and white thing, the black and color thing, which I'm almost there. What I would love you to do is on those 3 early pieces, the ones that we started with yesterday, the ones that are like the one that is on my wall here, I would like you to add some stencil shapes, and you have 3 of them. So again, you're not working on just one. You might use all 3 or 2 on each one. You might just use one, but play around with, you know, this final, this like one more step. And I think it is a good idea to use a contrasting color. This time, I think black would be a great choice, in fact, or some dark color, because we don't have that yet. In the, you know, mostly we've been using light to middle value colors. So a dark, you know, a really dramatic dark color for your stencil could be just the ticket. So I'm going to let you play with the stencil and see what you feel works really well. Where do you want to see it on your pieces? Just try it. Again, open your mind, allow whatever to happen. Just keep on in, you know, stay in that place of openness.
Which paintings do we put them on?
Those first ones we did yesterday. Yeah, the very first 3. Yeah, the ones that we started with the spill, or the not the spill, but the very light application. Yeah.
So when should we reconvene?
Let's keep going and let's see. How about if we reconvene at in like 15 minutes. 15 minutes. So that would be about 1 o'clock.
Adria,
At 1:05.
It's a little after 1.
A little after 1:05. Yeah, ish. Yeah.
wait, so we're doing it on the
The first 3 that we started.
Yeah, not that one. Not that one, Maddie. No.
oh, the ones we already did a lot of stuff on.
Yes, because we're adding another layer. That's right. We're going back to the very first ones we started. That's it. Yep. And that's where you're going to use some stencils. So, you know,
The ones that has the drips.
yes, exactly. So now use your discretion to decide where do you want to put where do you want to put some stencil shapes? And that's really up to you. And just try it. You know, we're just kind of taking a leap and keeping our minds open, because the judge is not in the room. There's no judge here. There's just, look at that. That's interesting. That's what happened when I did this. So keep a very open mind to it, and we'll reconvene in about 15 minutes and yeah, take a look at what we've done.
Just step on that black painting.
Yeah, beachy.
Adria?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming, I will use the black and no water because we're going for opacity, correct? Okay. Sorry, Adria, it's Janice again. I don't have any black. How about Van Dyke brown hue or burnt umber?
Fine.
Which is it darker?
I would say Van Dyke Brown.
Okay,
Although they're both pretty dark. Yeah, either one. Go with Van Dyke.
I actually think I'd like that hue a little better than the black anyway.
Okay.
Of course, now I can't open my tube.
Oh, Nutcracker. Do you have a Nutcracker?
Yeah, my husband will do it for
All
me.
right, very good.
He's my nut.
Adria, do foam brushes work well with the stencils?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Yep, just remember to paint
So-
inside. Yeah, from the outside in. Yep, and then you won't have quite as much splooching out. But again, if that happens, don't freak out. Just let it, just do it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Adria, you advised with the stencil to paint from the inside of the shape out towards the edges?
From the outside of the shape inside.
Outside, inside.
Yeah, because you want to start on the outside edges, like you're starting on the outside space. and so
Okay,
that you're not going to get your paint. Excuse me, stuck inside the outer edges of the stencil.
I guess you should wipe this too.
yes.
This too.
So what you can do when you are complete with your stencils is to take a quick photo and upload it to Padlet. And then we'll be able to just take a peek at what people are doing, and we'll start to kind of do that editing process or assessment process, which we really haven't approached yet.
Oh, who's that?
It's,
Emmanuel? I wonder if his dad's still there.
I think he was.
I think they got them. Well, no, I think he's going back on the 15th.
everybody, how are we doing? Are we,
Yeah, take the pictures now.
yep, take your pictures, just throw them up on Padlet so that we can take a look.
Oh, yeah.
Adria,
Yes.
I'm gonna log off because I don't know how to put it on the Padlet while I'm still on Zoom, but then I'll just come back.
Oh, so,
Because I sent it to my email. And now I'm going to upload it into the Padlet link.
just leave it an email. It's okay.
Just what?
Just leave it an email. Just send me an email. Send me your images on email and I'll put them up
Okay,
for you.
because it
Yeah.
only takes me a second. Okay.
But you know, Janice, so let me ask you, the easier way to do it is to upload from your phone.
Oh,
Yeah, and you
Okay.
don't need a Padlet account. You just go to my, you go to the email I sent this morning with the link to the Padlet. Okay, click on that, and then you're in it. And then all you do is you click on the little magenta circle in the bottom, the bright pink circle.
you know what, Age? I'll just do it my way because right now I don't want to take up your time. And then I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay. I know. It's a little learning curve. All right, so meanwhile, everybody else, try to get your work up on Padlet. That would be really great because then we can spend a little bit of time having this discussion about, because you're going to have some time now, the next hour to kind of play on your own. And I just want to sort of set a stage for, you know, how you might look at the work and figure out how to proceed.
Adria, are we going to get a chance to use our charcoal?
You know, I would say throw it in, Ellen, whenever you want to. I will try to remember to do that tomorrow. So hard to remember all the different possibilities here.
Yeah, because I was really wondering on how to use charcoal on top of
Oh, we just
your paint.
draw it, just use it. You know, when it's dry, or even when it's wet, you can use the charcoal just to, you know, put lines in. You know, it's not going to show black. It'll just pull up the paint. But I would just play with it, Ellen, as you know, in any way you want to. Well, we can let's talk about that when I show the Padlet, and just remind me to talk about it, okay?
Okay.
Adria, you know that rule of 3?
Yes.
What about 4? 3 or 5, I know, but how, should we really try to stick to that?
No, no, no. Oh, you know me, whatever. I
Oh,
have
that's
no,
true.
yeah, rules are meant to be
Okay.
broken. But you know, we can talk about why 3 and
Okay.
5 as opposed to 4 too, you know, yeah. I mean,
So, of course, I'm late again. How did you figure out about the 2 colored papers?
so you know what, Betty, I am gonna put that on hold because I actually have another idea. You know, I
Okay.
thought that what I was gonna show you was going to be easier than it actually is. And I just think it's going to be too much sort of having to glue stuff and it will take away from the flow. So I don't want to do that. Well, we'll
Alright.
do something else with it tomorrow.
Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. Okay, everybody, have we loaded up to Padlet? Are you
Yep,
doing
I-
that now? Good, good, good. Load up to Padlet. And if you can't do Padlet, just send me an email with your images in it. We especially want to see these 3 that you've just been working on now with the addition of stencils.
Adria, is there any way to get to you without going to our Padlet, your Padlet, that going back to email?
What? I'm sure I understand.
The only way I can get into our Padlet is by going back to your email and clicking on the link.
I can put that link in the chat. Why don't I do that?
No, I mean, general, like if we want to get back to your
Oh.
Padlet.
You can bookmark it.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, that would be a good way to do it. Yeah, otherwise it's in my email. Okay, everybody, we are just going to go to the email, to the Padlet. And if you're a little bit late at it, that's fine. You know, just put it up there while I will be talking a bit. So let's go see what we've done here. Okay, very exciting. All right, so what we are looking at are these pieces that people have added a 3rd or 4th layer to by playing with our stencils. That's what we're looking at. So I'm just going to scan over these. And just to say that, you know, I'm hoping that all of these things are going to be part of your repertoire because we're going to have a little bit of free work time this last part of the class. It always ends up being shorter than I anticipate because, you know, I want to, you know, make sure that I'm clear and, you know, moving on for the next part of this class. If you guys can mute yourself, that would be great because then get a lot of background stuff going on here. Okay, thank you. Okay, so as you see, we have lots of combinations, and this is what we're going to do is just spend a little bit of time and notice some of the things that are happening. So, you know, and you have 3 of these things. You have 3, so you know that's wonderful because it is very possible that when these things are seen together, and then they would be called a triptych, right? It would be a triptych where the pieces are related and they together create a whole, or, you know, one-offs, or even diptychs, you know, so there are many different ways that you can, you know, be playing with these things. You can look at all the different kinds of activities that are going on here and ask yourself, okay, what do I want to see next? You know, what would really be, what do I want to see? And I think that's the key, not what should I do, but what would I like to see? What am I curious about? What if because, you know, we were just talking a little bit about, Maddie brought up the rule of 3 and the rule of 5 in terms of like, well, how many you do of something. Like I had suggested doing 3 ovals yesterday rather than 4 or 6 or whatever, right? And, you know, there is, that kind of gets us into the conversation that really is about engaging our eyes and creating well, I'm going to use the word composition because it is the way we talk about when we talk about a design. I mean, what we have is a design. It's a grouping of shapes and colors and textures that together we read as a whole. I mean, this is a design because it's all connected. It's all on a sheet of paper. And what we want to do is to engage the viewer, even if it's just our own selves. And so, you know, what happens is we look, first of all, we look at lines, you know, we go to contours, we go to edges. That's kind of how we enter any given artwork or any given design. So, you know, we look around, our eye travels edges, travels, and then, you know, you might say, well, what part of this composition do I want to direct more attention to? You know, as I go around, I'm looking at, so here, it's not as interesting to me to look at over here as it is over here, because I see overlapping, I see other kinds of marks. So, you know, right here draws my eye and I'm less drawn over here. So maybe I would say to myself, I wonder if I could put something else here. And if that is true, what could that be? Maybe I want to do some more of the mono printing with the heavy body ink paint. Maybe I want a different color. Maybe I would want to try orange here because I haven't used orange in a while. So, you know, maybe that's a spot where, you know, you might see a way to engage my eye in this part of a composition, you know? So that's kind of what I'd like you to do as you now, you know, take another look back. Let's talk a little bit about the drips. So, you know, here's, you know, Kathy's chosen in this one anyway to try the drips along the edge. So what happens here is that I kind of want either this to be repeated in another place. Maybe what you could, what she could do is do another line of drips that starts here and drips down from that line, which again, the repetition draws our eye, draws it down to the other spot that maybe isn't quite as engaging. You know, so as you look at some of these pieces where we've done a couple of layers, you know, this is a very appropriate time to stop and assess, you know, to respond, to be playful. Whereas, you know, some of the ones, the other ones that we haven't got into very in depth yet, maybe not, because we're still in progress with them. You know, we might still want to just engage and energize, you know, going work on those before we stop and assess. So that's the kind of thing. Let's just take a look at you know, each person's efforts here, and you know, we'll see if we can do more than one. Yes, and so here's another. Do you see how your eye engages with the orange again? Like, I'm very happy. I somehow feel like, oh yeah, orange again. You know, that's just an and as I'm talking, you know, see if you agree with me as I'm talking. And this isn't about being good or bad. This is just like, oh, look at what my eye is doing. Isn't that interesting? This one, you know, since Carrie's gone right to the edge and there's no empty space here, I feel pretty satisfied. Like this feels like it's coming from a different plane. And I'm feeling like, okay, I understand that is interestingly coming forward over these marks, but going behind these, which is you know, some of these, the way that we organize and we overlap our shapes is, it can be quite, just an interesting thing to play with, right? So yeah, so Carrie might, again, want to bring a little bit more orange down here. Maybe that's something that you could try. The other thing that everybody should do is turn your pieces sideways and upside down, because all of that, all bets are off. Like there's no wrong or right about how they should be seen. They should be seen the way you feel most interested in them. Right now, especially when we're not really working with representational imagery. Let's just see down here what she's done with her second one here that I see. So this is another interesting, variation in the theme, where, even though it is vertical, I wonder if, Carrie, you meant to do this horizontally, but even if she didn't, and they meant to be seen in a vertical way, that's pretty interesting that it goes across. So in that way, I feel satisfied with the amount of orange. This feels like, yeah, I see this. So there's a cohesiveness and a unity, and a slight repetition of forms. So I was saying 3, an odd number, is often what people and kind of go for, because it's less like, it's more, let's see, more.
It's less symmetrical.
Yes, less symmetrical, exactly. So symmetry, there's nothing wrong with symmetry, really, nothing wrong with it. It makes us feel sort of, there's not a lot of energy in it. So if you want energy and kind of movement, you'll understand that, things that are put on the slant and things that kind of, are 3 or 5 or some odd number seems to be, sort of more conducive to that, but not always. So here, her fourth little stair, because they're kind of not all in an order, and it doesn't bother me at all. And
you know what, I edited this just so you wouldn't see all the stuff around it, but I edited out. I had one of these cut off, a 5th one cut off in the corner. Oh, it's up there in the upper right, and I just edited it out.
Okay. Yeah.
So that,
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I did say before that rules are meant to be broken, but I'm just trying to say, I know we if you've had art classes before, you're likely have been told by other teachers, this is right and that's wrong. And I'm just saying that it just depends, and that it's all interesting stuff to work with.
So, Adrienne, I have to ask. So, there in abstract, the concept of center of interest, which is just drilled into you.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be into play here, because like usually, so your eye, usually likes to not, if you have something of interest everywhere on the canvas, your eyes just darting around.
Yes. And isn't that interesting?
Is that, so that's okay.
That's
so
like,
that's,
yeah, I mean, I could tell you many artists who just go with that overall design,
okay.
And it's that's what I'm saying. There's yeah, like to be drilled into, has to, it doesn't. It just depends on, what you end up feeling like you want.
Okay.
I don't want to say there are any rules. Let's see, Betty, do you have some that you want to put up that you're waiting for, or oops, you don't hear from me. I'm going to come back.
I think it's very useful to look at everybody's, because
Yes. It is useful.
Yeah.
Exactly, because that's, this is the part of the learning process. Absolutely. Let's see, and I may not be able to see it to show everybody all your pieces, but I'm just trying to kind of touch on some of the things that you can certainly think about as you are working. Great, Maddie. So so this is one in which you also have these interesting lines that are going in different directions, as opposed to some that go straight on across or down. So that's another variation on the theme. And you may also say, okay, well, my eye's traveling. I've got a lot to look at here. And, maybe this is an area that could use a little livening, and again, I would say, we've got a lot of blues and darks, and maybe it's time to bring back the orange. Maybe it should be an opaque orange, could be. I mean, I'm just, again, throwing things out. This is not any kind of prescription. It's just like, it's sort of my stream of thought, as I'm looking, just as I might say to myself. So, you know, how are you engaging your eye? You know, as a viewer, are you looking at edges, and what are you running into? What are you seeing? Okay,
Oh,
so
So here was where I didn't know which way I wanted to hold it, because originally I did the drips the other direction.
yeah,
And then I changed the direction.
yeah,
And
yeah.
also if I had it to do over on the left side where the triangle, it hits exactly at the edge of the oval, and I don't like that.
Okay, well, but you know, that's interesting, because if something bothers you a bit, that's like, okay, how can what can I do to take the focus maybe away here? Maybe it's, you know, maybe if I do another stencil of this bright, you know, a bright orange, an opaque orange, that will guide the eye away from that point.
No, the bottom, the left side.
Or wherever you
Yeah,
are.
yeah, right there.
Well,
Yeah.
wherever you are, see, that's, you know, I mean, these are things that they, you know, it's a very personal thing. It's very subjective. Like, it doesn't bother me, but it might bother you, in which case, then that's a challenge. So rather than saying, oh, I don't like it, oh, it's not working, I'm saying, take a different kind of an approach and say, okay, this is a challenge. How can I guide the eye away from something that I'm like, or maybe I need to take some more orange paint here and maybe extend this oval a little bit more. You know, there's always, you know, I want you to kind of just say, all right, it's on me. Let me see, what can I do? How can I respond to what I've got? You know, and it could be that you're happy with them the way they are, which is fine. You know, this is your opportunity to really engage yourself in these questions. You know, this is you know, having come this far, what do you want to see? Yes, so Ree's got a lot of interesting things going too, and she, you know, I'm just saying, you know, here's a space, maybe that's a place for, you know, another element that could be, you know, something to think about. And it doesn't mean that every place has to be all busy at all. It's just like, you know, as you look at it, how, you know, what kinds of things are you saying to yourself? Again, the question is, what do I want to see? You know, what am I curious about? What would be fun? You know, how can I push myself to try something that I don't know if it's going to, you know, be the right answer? You know, and how can I learn from that? That's the essence of all of this stuff. It's not about pleasing me or pleasing, you know, anybody else but yourself. It really, really is. And so, you know, looking here, same thing, you know, is there a spot here that needs something? If it does, then you know, and I would say, as you're doing these things, maybe rather than throwing in yet, you know, a completely different element, maybe just say, okay, I have these possibilities. I have stencil, I have a monoprint kind of thing, I have spatter, and I have, you know, transparent paint. Of those possibilities, what else might I like to see on here? You know, just with those possibilities. Should it be turned around? I might add that if you feel strongly that you want to cut down your piece, go for it. This is all within there is no rule, you know, there's nothing that you know, you cannot do. You can do all of that. So Mary, you've got, you know, some very upbeat color choices here. Gotta love that neon pink. So, you know, you too, you may say, you know, magenta, yeah, magenta, right. It's looking neon in my, screen. So, you know, you may say, okay, you know, this one feels fairly, to me, fairly full. And, you know, maybe this one you don't work into, maybe you do. Maybe this one is, you know, one that, you know, it calls to you. But this is your opportunity to ask yourself that question. What do you want to see? What could be fun? What could be the next interesting thing? You know, and Ellen, the same thing to you. You heard me. I'm like a tape, you know, a record player here, over and over again, the same question. What do I want to see? You know, maybe this is sufficient. Maybe you don't want to see anything else. Maybe you do. If you do, what of these possibilities could that be? And I would say too, this is your chance to see how they look together. Are they better as a threesome or a twosome than a single one? Are they more interesting vertically or horizontally? Is part of them more interesting than the whole? You know, these are all things that are possible, and all things that in the next whatever many, not that long, half an hour we have, that you can ask yourself. And same question to you. What else do you want to see? You know, these just are full of possibility, potential, visual interest. You know, it's very exciting that, you know, and you can see how as you built this one step after the other, letting the paint dry, you know, gives you this opportunity to be playful, be experimental, see some of the possibilities that happen. And then Janice, you are here too. Same question to ask you, you know, what is it that you want to see? And the other thing that I meant to say is that, you know, what these all have, you know, very strongly is a nice variety of large to small areas. So it's not all the same. It's not just like all these shapes are the same. You know, you have the larger background area, you have the next really largest areas of these big ovals, and then you have the drips and the stencils that get you more and more into the, you know, smaller areas. And that's really, you know, such a great way to work, so that
I wasn't able to get my others uploaded, but
oh, okay. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, I want us to have this time to work, but that's generally speaking, you know, the next approach would be go for it. What do you want to see?
Adria, one question in terms of the tools that are available besides, because it's like for mine, I'm thinking I want to take my palette knife and do make the contrast between the opacity and the translucence more. So you can do that, right? I mean,
absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's right. You know, follow your gut to see
Okay.
what will happen. But I want everybody to remain in this state of very openness, you know, and just try things out. You have 3 to play with. So there are many possibilities, might be too many. So, you know, if that feels overwhelming, just stick to one, you know, maybe think about each one, how each one, you know, how you see your eye moving, try it sideways, try it vertically, you know, and then see that question that you always want to ask yourself, what do I want to see?
So, Adria, I want to see more simplicity. I felt that like adding the stencils to some of them made it too messy and busy.
Okay.
So I feel like right now there's too much going on.
Okay, so Mary, what you could do is you could cut that piece.
Yeah, I was
cut
thinking,
out pieces, absolutely, and then just mount the whole thing on another sheet of paper.
right. Well, oh, you mean mount all the pieces on another sheet of paper? Or
Well, either one. I mean, you could take the main one and just cut a few places away that you feel where it's a little bit busy, and just leave those for another collage piece, and then just take what's left and glue that onto another clean sheet of paper so that you have more empty space. You could do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So feel free to use those scissors or to tear. You absolutely can do that. Ellen.
I don't think we saw Kathy's work.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy. Did we not see your work? Oh, so sorry. Let's go back and just see very quickly. Sorry, Kathy. Yeah, there we go. Yes, we did. We started with Kathy.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we
Okay.
did. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. But thank you for, you know, looking out for your fellow.
So Adrian, what you just said was we can cut a piece out.
Yes.
And then take the main piece, put it on another piece of paper, so there is an empty space and
Right.
I
Why
got
not?
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why we have that glue. That's exactly why we have acrylic medium, because that will help you to glue. You know, you don't even have to use a whole sheet of paper. You just cut out the part that will cover up your hole, you know, and that's a way to just save on paper.
Mhm.
And that's
Right.
totally fine to do that. Yeah, Maddie.
Wait, I am still confused about what you're saying. So there's a part I don't like in
Mhm.
mine. So you're saying cut it out
Well, there's so many possibilities.
or
You-
it could collage over it?
That's right. You could collage over it. You could cut it out and put another sheet of paper behind that,
I see.
right?
What-
Okay. So you have a hole in the
You have a
middle.
hole. You have
and-
a hole in the
and
middle,
pull
you
it
just
through.
piece it,
Okay.
exactly. And that's what's so good about this, yeah, the medium. And it's
Okay.
totally fine to do that. That is perfectly fine. Gluing and cutting and tearing and, you know, doing what you want to see, to do to your piece to make it feel,
Okay, what
Adria,
about sanding?
wait, Mary, let me finish with Maddie. Yeah?
What about sanding? If there was a part, what if I tried to sand it? It won't work on
And do
this
sanding.
paper.
No,
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 okay.
no. You could try gesso, but really, you know, that presents its own set of problems. I guess I would vote for just cut it out. If you're really bothered by it, cut it. And that's a great learning possibility too.
Okay.
Mary, yes, go ahead.
Hi, I'm gonna switch the camera. So this one,
Yeah,
can you see?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Well, I didn't follow direct that, you know, when we did our, our very first layer, I didn't do solid, I dripped.
Uh-huh,
or
yep.
splattered. So if I think that there's too much white or it's not working, if I
Mhm.
went over the whole thing with a glaze, would that just make it messier?
No, that could get rid of all the white, which might really actually unify it all, Mary. That's a really interesting, that's a very good suggestion. Why don't you do
Huh.
that? Why don't you see what happens when you do that?
But it would
Yeah.
have to be quite light, right? Otherwise, all the colors will get lost. No?
Well, you know, if you use like a light blue, the areas of yellow and green are going to turn more blue, but that also, why not take the chance? Why not try
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
like a
you're never
glaze?
going, you know, this is all about trying things out, because then you have a repertoire of things that you know you can do, whether it's ultimately, you know, what you are happy with. It's at this point, that's what you're here for.
Yeah. Okay,
So
great.
it's like a glaze you're talking about? sort of-
I'm just saying, yeah, the glaze is basically paint that has a lot of water in it. You know,
Or
like
the
we
matte
started
medium.
earlier with Maddie, yeah. And then
okay.
that's that transparent color that can, you know, just fill in all the places that are white. Like if it's, you know, a lot of times white it's a very bright, it's a light value and it's bright and it's very contrasty. Sometimes if you just use another, you know, whole area of a transparent color on top of it, it just settles it out, settles and unifies the whole composition. So that's something to try too. Yeah, I'm very excited to see, you know, what you decide on your very own as to what to do. And so why don't we do this? Let's work up until about 5 minutes of 2 and then reconvene and see where we are at that point. So that's about 20 minutes. So that's not a lot of time, but it could be just enough to, you know, get you started thinking. And I'm going to again mute everybody so we have some time to just kind of think. Time to reflect. And trust yourselves. You know, this is all about learning to trust what you feel. And just try it because it's only paper. And as you can see, we can cut things up and we'll be using them tomorrow in other kinds of things. So much potential, so many possibilities.
Adria, is yellow too opaque for a glaze?
No, yellow is very transparent,
Right, but
very transparent. Yeah.
think about what that will do. That'd be too much. And then I'm just trying to visualize, and if I did like a very light Payne's gray, that would just gray everything, right?
Well, actually, Payne's gray is actually blue. So
Yeah, yeah,
that will add blue, a very, very pale,
cool.
cool blue. Yeah. And so you could do that too.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll figure it.
You'll try
Thank
it. Yeah, just try it. Don't be afraid to try it.
Okay.
It's only paper.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll
Do we have more time to work, Adria? Or are we meeting?
Betty, we're working.
We have more time to work?
So we do, yes, I'm sorry. We do, we are going to work just to, just like 5 minutes short of 2, when we'll get everybody together and just talk
Oh,
about,
Okay.
what
I
I'd
have
like you to
more
do. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
just a few more minutes. Okay, everybody, let's come back together just for the last little tiny bit of our class, because I want to wrap up and tell you a little bit about what I'd like you to do and get ready for tomorrow. How are you feeling? Are you exhausted or energized or how are we doing?
Energized.
Good, good, good. So, you may want to just keep working after this is over. I mean, nothing's stopping you. So if that's true, go for it. I'm so happy because it seems like everybody's really engaged. And you know what? That's all you can really hope for. It's the best you can hope for in an art practice, is that you are interested and curious and engaged. So I'm happy about that. What I would like to do is say to you for tomorrow that I would, if you have some time, I very much would like you to keep going a bit and answer that question for yourself about what do you want to see on those 3 pieces we've been working with. Go as far as you feel like you want to. And also, if you have the inclination, if you have the time and the energy and all that stuff, what we're going to be doing next is to go back to the works where we joined the pieces, early this morning with extra lines. And now what I'd like you to do is to go back into those and see what you can do in terms of adding to those too. So while you guys were working, I tried out a little something that, just to show you what's possible. What you've been doing is you've been creating shapes, by combining these lines. You create enclosed shapes. And so those enclosed shapes suggest that you could paint within those shapes. And as I was working on mine here, I'm realizing that I don't have to go into all the shapes. I could just do some of the shapes. I could add some spatter for texture. I know that you already have some other shapes. I don't have them on this one because I didn't do that part, but you also already have the ovals that were cut up. So you have that also to engage with. But that would be the next step on these pieces, would be, what do you want to see? The same question that you asked yourself before. Now that I have these shapes, how do I want to respond? And that's the next step. So if you have time and inclination, we will be doing this anyway in class. So however far you get with that, that is fine. Tomorrow, what we'll be doing is, it's hard to get it all in, right? We have the black and the other color. We're going to deal with that tomorrow in some different ways. We're going to do more with the contour line drawing. We're going to see where that goes with some more direction with that, and then spend another bunch of time working a little more independently and wrapping it up with looking at what we've done. So I think that's actually 6 hours, not 4, but we'll do the best you can. So there you go. And upload a couple things to, your Padlet. If you do come to some conclusions about those pieces you're working on now, it'd be great to see what you've decided. What did you add? How did you change it? Did you want to see them as a triptych? Did you want to see them as a diptych? Did you cut? All of those things are so helpful for all of us to see, because, the learning just multiplies. Okay.
So Adria, between now and tomorrow,
Yeah.
if we wish, we keep working on these 3 pieces.
Yeah.
And you said, but the contour drawing, not to start that or not to start that?
Well, what you could do, if you have time, you don't have to do this, but if you have time to go back to the ones where these were the separated quarters,
Right.
and you joined them with lines, and one approach, and then the obvious question is, okay, what next? And so I've answered a question by using the shapes that were created there to enclose areas of paint. So that's one thing you could do. So I guess I'm saying to you, what do you want to see next? Just take a walk with that one or those 2 for a little bit and see where that takes you. If you have
Okay.
time, don't worry about it. If you don't have time, you know, I
Because
just
we'll
want.
be doing it in class. That's the thing. I mean, I wouldn't want to do so much that then, you know, you're too ahead of the class. That's why I'm trying to get a
Oh.
sense.
We
Whatever.
have so much other stuff. We really do.
Okay.
And yeah, so
Adria, we have pieces that we haven't gone into, right?
we have a few sheets of paper. Yeah. We have a lot of the contour line
Okay,
drawings.
just put those to the side.
Put those to the side. Yep. We're gonna, you know, I'm hoping that we have 10 things in progress by the end of tomorrow. I'm pretty sure we will. So, so hold on to your seats, everyone. It's a wild ride, not over yet. Okay, everyone. Question, Maddie, you have a question? You're muted.
There was some that we have just 2 layers on some of them. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
yeah, we're gonna deal with them tomorrow. Yep.
Okay, don't do anything with those.
mean,
Right.
Honestly, it's fine if
whatever
you
we
do.
want.
If it's fine if you want to, you know,
Right.
but we're gonna be attacking all of those in different. ways.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All right, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you soon. See
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
Tomorrow at
Bye.
noon, not 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
12
12 o'clock, good, good,
o'clock.
good catch, good
Bye,
catch.
everyone.
Hi, thank you.
Bye-bye.